Back over my life, I realised that the main thing that I've been able to do about developing women is to develop myself and then help other women to develop loads and loads of women. Let me tell you a little bit about that and why we do this. First of all, there's tons and tons of international law, local laws, in my case, European law, policies inside organisations, all of which are saying things should be better for women. But actually, there's a huge difference between the policy, the law, the practice. What actually happens, and you've talked about that already this morning. So what we've done about it, and we started some years back now, and we've done most of our work overseas thanks to the British Council, what we've done in our small business that has a global reach is we have concentrated on developing women. And the story began in the BBC, when the BBC realised that it did not have women in many jobs, or traditionally male jobs, or perhaps senior jobs. And they commissioned my colleague, Liz Willis, whose brainchild Springboard was. Now, you might be wondering, why did we call it Springboard? For those of you who have a picture in your head of a springboard, it's a large plank going out over a swimming pool. And when you stand on the end of it, you can actually go further than you would if you just stood on the edge and jumped. But you have to actually bounce up and down on it. So if we think about women doing things for themselves, they've got to take action, not just all the policy coming from on high. So that's how we began. Springboard then became a 3-month work and personal development program that was specifically written for women. Now again, I'm using this term development because there's a difference between training and development. As far as we're concerned, training is where somebody goes on a course, their managers or organizations tell them they have to go on the course, the agenda is set, the results are set, there are often right and wrong answers, such as health and safety or law or police procedure, and then there's usually a completely work focus. What we're doing with women and what women need to do for themselves is development. And in development, women self-nominate. That means they say, I want to do this. You can make people develop, but that's called brainwashing, and I wouldn't be interested at all to do that. I'd much prefer it that women decide that they're going to do something about their development, that they will set their own agenda. They'll decide what they want to get out of it. There will be no set answers. Quite often when I'm running development programs for women, the women say, Jenny, tell me what to do. Jenny, what would you do if? Jenny, what's the answer to this question in my life? And my answer is, you need to find that answer for yourself. I'm not going to be the person to tell you how to run your life. And I'll say a bit more about that in a minute. It's holistic, and for those of you who've got good spelling, it's deliberately spelt here with a W, to mean whole, the work side and the personal side of a woman's development. How many of us know a woman who can go to work and never have any other life other than work? None of us, I don't think. And so women go to work and they have lives that they have to run. They may have children, they may have responsibility for others, but they need to be able to look at their development from a holistic point of view. So the objectives, if you were to be a participant on Springboard, are that you would take clear and practical and realistic steps to take more control over your life. Now you can see that starts from where you are. It doesn't start from where somebody else would like you to be. It starts from where you are in your life. It also means that you need to find out what you value. And my understanding of values is it's much more than just, this is what I think is important in my life. It's something really deep inside that says, this is me, this is who I am. And in looking at what your values are as a woman, then most women that I know value things being better for them and better for their children, and the world being a better place for women to live in. And so finding out what women value means that they can then take steps and make the decisions and take actions based on these values. So it's not about what the government wants you to do. It's not about what your parents want you to do, or your husband or your family. It becomes about what the women themselves decide is important for them. How do we do this? Well, we've got a workbook, which I can show people, and we're looking at online facilities now. We've also got workshops that the women attend because they need to get an increase in their confidence to do things better or differently. There's a support system, so that in between the workshops, the women help and support each other. And I know later you're going to be hearing about a Facebook support group, and that's exactly the kind of thing that women need. There's networking as well. Women are terribly good at networking. Yes, they are. They're brilliant at it for their families, for their children, but they're not so good at it for their own development. And that's what Springboard encourages them to do. It's also about role models. How often do you look up inside an organization as a woman and see, first of all, it's mainly men up there, and then secondly, when you see the women that are there, you think to yourself, gosh, if you have to be like that to get there, I don't think I'll bother. And that's a difficulty. So we need to find really good role models for these women, so they can hear their stories, so they can give themselves an opportunity to have a picture in their head of how it could be for them. The kind of results that we get from our programs, and this I think is the important thing, these are the things that women want to do. They're more open to change, 84%. They have more positive attitude, 83%. They have increased confidence and self-esteem, 80%. And the confidence and self-esteem is worldwide. I've not come across any country, and I've traveled quite a bit, and not come across a single country where women actually feel really confident. It's also about managing change in their lives. It's also about taking on more responsibility and about being better at problem solving and better at using the resources available to them. There's tons of things that the women then, therefore, are doing for themselves. There's lots of reasons why Springboard is unusual. It works with large numbers. It's cost effective. The women, I said, set their own agenda. It's holistic. There's a wealth of material for them to work on in one place. And the 5 ingredients of workbook, etc., are very flexible. And they've been changed quite a bit in different parts of the world. The Middle Eastern programs that have run so far are slightly shorter than the 3 months because that's what they prefer. And it's customized for every country. We don't arrive in a country and say, here's the British material, take it, it's yours. We arrive in a country and say, here's our program, how can we make it relevant for you? How can we make it relevant for your women? And then how can we find women in your country who will help to run the programs for you, rather than having somebody come from overseas? I won't read through the whole list, but there's a list of 38 countries and 220,000 women who have been through the program. And I can tell you, it's not enough. It is definitely not enough to change the world for women. We need many, many more women to seize opportunities for their development. We need women to be able to stand up and do what it is that they think is right for themselves and their families. Loads of things about languages. 2 more things to say. One is about similarities. There's a lot of similarities with women across the world. Issues around confidence, overcoming lack of opportunities, responses of men, and very few good role models. There's also a lot of differences, and they're mainly about culture, tradition, customs, laws. There's a lot of violence towards women, and a European Union study has just recently told us this. 1/3 of women in the EU are experiencing violence. But if you look at this picture of women, and imagine that any one of these women could be developing herself. Any one of these women, and you might have a picture in your head of what her life is like. You might look at the woman pilot in the middle of the top row and say, oh, that's unusual. We don't have very many women pilots. She could be a Saudi Arabian woman pilot who actually lives and isn't allowed to drive to her job, which is flying an airplane. So all I say to you as a group of women and men, you could have this too if you like. All I say to you as a group of women is, be who you want to be. Be the person that you think suits you and your values, and have a fabulous International Women's Day. Thank you.